Hello, and welcome to the Humans of Growth podcast, where we talk about the stories and strategies behind business growth and development. I'm your host, Allie Hathcock, and today's episode is sponsored by Parison Network, the new way for brands and businesses to find the right marketing partners. If you're looking for marketing support and don't know where to turn, Parison Network has you covered with free agency searches. Today's guests are Liz Nowlin and Terry Kerr. Terry is the founder and CEO of Mid-South Home Buyers, and Liz is their director of sales and marketing. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks, Allie. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I know just a minute ago we were talking about Mid-South Home Buyers. Would love to hear from you guys. Give me a little bit of an introduction.
Sure. I'll start. The business was born I got into the business to buy and hold and do some retail flipping, and ran into a buddy of mine who wanted to buy some rental property from us, and he already had a bunch, and asked him, "Why'd you want to buy from me?" And he said, "Because I don't have enough time to fix them up myself." And so I sold him a couple of houses, and a business of passing bargains on to bargain hunters began about 24 years ago.
Cool. I love it. And you guys are primarily in Memphis and Arkansas, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I used to live in Memphis, and I've seen your signs many a time.
Okay.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about y'all's process. So you guys go in and buy the homes first, fix them up, and then essentially sell them to investors.
Absolutely. We specialize in the kind of one ugly house at the end of a cute, quiet street. We do the deepest renovation, kind of out there, period. All new roof, new central heating and air. It is a total overhaul. There's a lot that can go on in this business that's kind of some new paint and some new light fixtures. And that's a fine business model, but it is not us. We are taking them down to the dirt in the kitchens and bathrooms. And by that, I mean new subfloors underneath that new, ceramic tile or what have you. Every door hinge is new. Every door knob is new. The toilets are new. The bathtubs are new. It is such an extensive renovation. It is not uncommon for us to spend more on a renovation occasionally than what it cost us to buy the house. We then put a highly qualified renter with good job, good background, all that good stuff in that house. We then offer it to our wonderful investors, and then we continue to manage that property for them. And it happens to fight blight, uplift the neighborhood. I've had neighbors come out and hug me when we do investor tours once a month. And that's kind of one of my favorite parts is I either get a hug and a thank you for turning the house around, or I'll get somebody that will come out and say, "Now you better put someone nice in this house. We're a quiet neighborhood and I want good neighbors." And I would say, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I promise." And then the final piece of the puzzle, I guess, is our repeat investors that come back. We've been doing this for a really long time. I was taking a look the other day, and I think of about the 55 houses we had under contract to sell. About 42 were under contract to folks coming back for their third, fifth, ninth house. And so that's a fun thing about working here.
So with the first part of the process, Memphis, it's been a while since I've lived there. It was a very hit or miss city. One street could be super nice. The next street is terrible and you should not walk on it at night. And the next street behind that is wonderful. How do you decide where to buy houses?
Sure. Great question. So Memphis is like, most big cities. There are places you don't want to buy, and there are places that are perfect. And, getting started in the business, I bought down too low and then ended up buying houses that were like maybe too far up the food chain to where they didn't cash flow. So we operate in the sweet spot, and the sweet spot is where the properties are going to cash flow, but you're not having to pay too much for them, because if you do, then they're obviously not going to cash flow. But so the sweet spots are all over the place in most zip codes. And so, if you zoomed out on a map, we've got about 5,000 houses that we've bought, rehabbed, and sold and currently manage in Memphis. And so we're literally in almost every zip code in Memphis. We're not so much in, like, say, the Germantowns or Colliervilles, because that's more upper end retail. But besides that, we're all over the place.
Yeah, for non-real estate people, retail means owner occupant sales, and it's important to kind of come in as an investor with a different idea than this might be where I would live in Memphis if I moved there. I live in a 100% owner occupant neighborhood. It would be negative cash flow. I love our neighborhoods. We tour them with pride. It's one of the reasons we encourage folks to come and visit if they want to see the tours. But our goal is to provide the purchasing investor the highest monthly cash flow possible. And so that's working back into that sweet spot where you want affordable property taxes. Smaller houses are simply more affordable to maintain. You want big enough that the family stays, but you don't need butler's pantries and a living room and a den and all of that. And then too low, kind of people understand more, but we have really strict renter criteria. Our renters have choices and options about where they live. We just want to be working in peaceful neighborhoods. We are a property management company too. We like to serve up houses that our leasing team likes to rent, finds a lot of demand for. So everything just integrates really well that way.
That's awesome. So when you go in and you're essentially flipping the property, how do you guys go and make sure that you're not running too much at a deficit? Because that's what I see a lot is you go in and there's two types of investors that I've seen. One, they throw up a new coat of paint over all the bugs, and the ones who spend a crap ton of money on flipping the property, and then when they eventually sell it, they're not making the profits that they could potentially be. So how do y'all go about finding like the middle of that?
Sure. Good question. So, well, first off, we love the full blown gut jobs. We would much rather, and like Liz said, our business model is that we want to replace everything. And you can't replace everything affordably and make the model work unless everything mostly needs to be replaced, right? Because if not, you're competing with folks who want to buy and hold and just put in some carpet and paint. And so because we've been doing this for so long, and because we have our own in-house crews, we own our own electrical, mechanical, and plumbing companies. We own our own hardware store. So we don't buy from Home Depot and Lowe's as much as we do the same folks who sell to them. And so we're just really dialed in on what it costs in labor and material. And we're going to, estimate labor and material, on dozens of houses for every house that we buy. And so we've cut our teeth for pushing 25 years. And if we have flipped over 5,500 houses, you could probably multiply that by 20 as to the houses that we've estimated labor and material on. So I know that's a long answer to say that, we've just done it a long time and we just keep our finger on those pulses. But it's tough and we don't always nail it. And there are always surprises. And when there are surprises, no one says, oh, well, what's in the budget? No, well, the budget is what is it going to take? There is no budget. We just get it done. And so we'll lose money on maybe every 10th house or something, but it's just cost of doing business. And fortunately, the vertical integration that we've got in the business helps offset some of those losses on the flips because you just can't X-ray every house.
Yeah, I often talk with investors. I buy investment properties directly from Mid-South myself. I have bought one house a year from Mid-South for years, and there's no employee discount on houses. And the reason that I am paying the exact same purchase price as we have investors in 17 different countries around the world, as well as all 50 states. And the reason I, as a local that has worked in property management since I was 19, pay the same thing as my Japanese investors, my Australian investors, my British investors, is because it would cost me $150,000 to make a $140,000 Mid-South house because of that internal hardware store, the full-time crews, the full-time plumbers and electricians that are on salary for us. And there's that risk. You can't X-ray a house, and when you're kind of the onesie and twosie guy, you're really exposed to that risk. One thing I'm sometimes explaining to folks is like, well, we bought this house and we renovated everything, but it had a brand new roof. And they'll say, well, how did a trashed house have a brand new roof? And it's people that try to do it and they run out of money halfway through the rehab. And then it kind of cycles back to the market and we end up picking it up. So.
Awesome. So let's say you have a new investor, they come in, they buy a property from you. What makes them want to stick around and use you guys for property management compared to going to somebody that they've been using for property management for a while?
Typically, the folks that are buying from us have been referred to us, or they're repeat buyers. And the reality is that we have lots of folks wanting us to manage their properties, but we pass because they didn't buy the house from us. And it's not as much as that they didn't buy the house from us as it is that it's not a full blown gut job. And we only want to manage houses that have had a full blown renovation done to them. So if we did not manage houses for the folks we sold them to, we wouldn't have the business that we have, because property management is where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah. We also have some really unique guarantees and warranties that we are able to make because we, as the sellers and renovators, did the renovation and set the rent price, and they're unparalleled, like coast to coast. We have a lifetime occupancy guarantee that is detailed on our website, but it basically says if your property were ever vacant for more than 90 days, we have to start paying you market rent from the 91st day. It doesn't cost us any money because our properties don't stay vacant that long, but you will not find a PM company that would ink that for you. And then just a full 1 year warranty on our basically zero maintenance in your first year, and some stuff like that you're just not going to find in a third party PM.
Cool. I love it. So you guys, how many houses are y'all managing right now?
5,600 and change.
5,600. That's a lot. So with that, if you've seen the news lately, there's been, people have feelings about big companies that come in, buy properties, fix them, mostly from the BlackRock side, but there's been a big push lately of how do we stop investors from just buying up properties? How have you guys gone about maintaining brand image and all of the pushback with all the financial housing crisis that is affordable housing that's going on?
Sure, absolutely. So, first off, the houses that we're buying, and that's why our business model is kind of cool, in that we are only buying the full blown gut jobs. The houses that we're purchasing would never be purchased by a first time home buyer. They wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. And we do work with local nonprofit companies. As a matter of fact, there's an outfit that specializes in placing first-time home buyers. And we bought a house in a neighborhood that they like to work in, and so we're selling that house to this outfit for the exact dollar amount that we purchased it for, and we're going to do all the renovation for them because we want to be a good partner. There are a few awesome nonprofits in Memphis, and that we work closely with them. So if there's something that they want for a first-time home buyer, we back off.
Yep. And we also, our houses are vacant when we buy them 95% of the time because they're actually unlivable. They could not, a first-time home buyer could not get a loan on them. They would not, and then they don't have that liquidity to renovate it. And then if you think about it, because that was a vacant falling down house, we're actually adding to the number of affordable rentals. So we're increasing surplus, which helps with pricing. And it actually even ties back into that 90-day occupancy guarantee that we were talking about. So one of the places the bodies are buried in the turnkey industry is that if a seller can really push that rent as high as they can, which is another thing that is causing some of this turmoil that you're talking about, they can sell it for the most that they can sell it for. And what happens is they hold a 4-month vacancy on their end to get somebody to pay $25-$30 more than the market is asking for, or would prescribe. And then they sell it, and then it becomes that vacancy for the owner because they're not being competitive. And the reason we ink that guarantee is not really so that we can be insurance for our investors if they have vacancy. It's a way of telling someone in New York or California that could not possibly possibly know that 1,050 is too much for this house, that, hey, this 1,025 in rent that we're asking, that makes the phone ring off the hook, right? That gives us a huge surplus of qualified applicants. We also don't even charge application fees. We love our renters. They're our second customer service set. Our average renter stays almost 4 years. And we ask every renter that's coming to us, why are you leaving your current situation? And that answer is, my landlord won't fix anything, over and over and over again. So we're being competitive with our pricing. We're adding to the value, to the number of rentals, of affordable, well-constructed rentals in the market. So I love what we're doing for Memphis.
Yeah, and I think like when you're buying houses where there wasn't a chance for anyone to get them and nobody wants them, especially from what I've seen from living in Memphis, it helps with the brand significantly.
Yep.
So what has marketing looked like for you guys?
We have been so fortunate. I guess it was in 2011, we kind of ran out of houses to sell. We had folks that were kind of lined up going, hey, when can I get another one? And we're very fortunate. We're really not doing hardly any advertising, so it's just word of mouth and repeat business. So knock on wood, we're instead of spending a bunch of money on advertising, we get to dump it into the house and make the best house we can for our investor buyers and the residents that are living there.
Yeah, we didn't really run out of houses as much as the word of mouth had spread so far and so wide that demand was far exceeding our supply. And in 2011, a lot of people were still well skittish of the housing market, and but I just started to have more and more investors through word of mouth, and it makes my job really easy. And then once I get them in through word of mouth, they come back because of the performance.
Yep, and last year, I'm sorry, I was just going to say that last year we bought, rehabbed, and sold about 650 houses. Well, about 100 of those were new construction direct to rental, but about 550 flips and 100 new construction direct to rental. So every year we're just trying to do a little bit more and supply the demand, but we can't create the supply from the rehab side, which is why we started doing our own new construction, because there was a lot of demand from residents for new construction, and a lot of demand as well from investors for it.
If we go back to 2011, we had the housing crisis in 2008, 2009. What was the 2011 kind of marker for you guys?
What was the 2011 what?
Yeah, like what was it about 2011 specifically where you kind of ran out of supply? You didn't run out of supply, but to some degree there wasn't enough
Yeah, we were
supply.
doing more year over year in 2011 than we were in 2010. We just had a lot more folks showing up going, hey, we've heard you guys supply, a good product. Can I buy two? So even though we were doing more flips, there was more demand than there was the supply.
Yeah, I had been offering the houses out via we still keep our houses up on the website like anybody, and kind of like anyone, we had 4 or 5 houses that would come in and they would go out. We were constantly revolving door, and I literally still remember the shirt I was wearing the day I marked the last available property under contract on our website. And I thought, oh, that's weird. But of course, within a few days I get the next one, and we had this light marketing email that was meant to alert you that a new house was on the website. My thought had been like, oh, I don't want people to have to just kind of check back to see if something new has come. And we had 6 months of insanity, Allie, where I would say goodbye. I would get a new house that morning. I would say goodbye to my coworkers for the day. I would hit send on this email that was announcing that we had a new house. And I hit send like this, my phone starts vibrating off the desk and my inbox goes, I'll take it, 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 I'll take it. And I was having to send screenshots of my inbox to people who were saying, what do you mean it's gone? You emailed me this 7 minutes ago. Something is askew here. And I had a tech investor in San Francisco put on an autoresponder that said, if it is less than $86,000 and a 3-bedroom, I will take it. And he got 7 houses that way. And in the meantime, I had an older woman from Australia fly to Memphis from Australia to tour with us. She had committed to, she wanted to buy from us, and these emails were coming in the middle of the night for her. She had no chance. I couldn't make her any commitments. And so that's kind of actually when our wait list was born. And so I wanted and needed a way to look each individual investor in the eye and say, I can get you a house and you will have a chance to reflect on it, think about it, and call your partner or spouse to discuss. And so we changed, we kind of do this slow rollout of houses through our wait list now, and we still have a wait list today. And it just slows that process down and lets me control it a little bit. That is a good problem to have.
So when you have 7 emails in your inbox and everybody says we want it, and they give you the same terms, do you just go with whoever gives you the check first, or how did that work?
We're still first come, first serve, and we were first come, first serve then. And so the first person to say they want it. And back then, I couldn't even send the contract that day. I would say, I'll send you your contract tomorrow. And I'd spend the rest of my day ticking people off as I told them they didn't get it. And now I simply, it's actually the same system, but I send it to 15 people every hour. And it creates that kind of space. And then when that person gets the house, they start over. And so your name kind of travels up. It's only about a 2 to 3 month wait. Now, if someone does want a house from us, from when I add them, adding that new construction pipeline, whether someone gets a renovated home or a new construction, as Terry mentioned, we can't control the faucet on renovated properties, but that's helped us meet demand. And so it takes us about 1 hour to 72 hours for a property I'm working down the wait list to kind of find its match in an investor.
Because I went to your website last night, and everything on the website is pretty much under contract. And I was like looking and scrolling, so I'm like, oh, I like these prices. Granted, I'm in Nashville and everything's expensive and is going to cost me a kidney. But so let's say I'm an investor. I come to you, say I want a property. What happens next as far as like I get on the wait list? How soon? So is it 2 to 3 months before I get off the wait list? And how does that process kind of give me more details about that process?
Yeah. So the wait is till I start sending you properties. And then kind of how long it takes you to find the property you want is on you. I will keep sending you properties until you see the one that you want. And so we get, as Terry said, over 600 a year. I'm getting, I'd say 12 to 18 fresh, sort of just finished the rehab, just taken a deposit. Everything is ready to go that I offer the investors. It's kind of the perfect timing, frankly, because it's like everything installed is brand new and that renter's at the beginning of their lease. And so, some people only want Little Rock and above $200,000. Some people only want Memphis and under 150. So as interchangeable as our product is to us, everyone still has their own little taste. So I get a lot of, my wife liked the shrubs on this one. So yeah, just work it down the wait list with emails. And so your experience, Allie, would be that you'll start getting 3 to 5 properties a week at the end of that 2 to 3 month wait. And then some of them are getting picked up before they reach you, if that makes sense. But I'm clearing those people out. You're getting higher and higher. And at the 6 or 8 week mark, you're seeing 12 or 15. I would say my average investor, because it's so interchangeable, is under contract and matched with a property within 4 to 6 weeks. And within 90 days, you will have seen every type of property I'm ever going to get twice, a duplex or something like that. And we're so formulaic as a business. And I think that helps a lot too. Like we never buy in flood zones. We always put in new washer dryer hookups. Everything is always new. And that helps people move as well. One of my favorite things one of my investors ever said to me is, I'm basically just buying your business model by the square foot. And he's not wrong. I don't know if you noticed all the kitchens looking the same, all the bathrooms looking the same, but yeah, we've got it down.
And also, you mentioned earlier, Allie, something about whoever sends us a check first. I just wanted to throw out that we don't even require earnest money from any of our investor buyers. If somebody wants a house, then whoever raises their hand first saying they want it, like Liz said, gets the house. And if for whatever reason life happened to someone during the contractual period, there's no need for earnest.
Okay, cool. Oh, I had a question. Okay, so on the operations side for the wait list, deciding who gets houses when, it sounds like it could be a very labor intensive process. Are you guys automating that at all yet?
It's not too bad, actually. I mean, to me, it's less labor intensive than the free for all and the madness that was the free for all. And then we're just ridiculously fair. And I just offer it out till somebody asks me for it. We have some cool features where you can request the purchase agreement through the email or, send us questions. But it's nice and chill, actually. I enjoy it, and because it's slow on our end, I have time to answer people's questions or send them some extra photos, and so I think it works. And I usually do about an hour phone call with people on the front end when they join the wait list. And don't get me wrong, some people are 15 minutes. You could join via email. If somebody's like, oh, I don't want to spend an hour on the phone, that's totally fine. You'll get the same great house. But I love helping people learn. And so we're getting a lot squared away on the front end. And those new investor phone calls are some of my favorite things I get to do.
I love it. So, Liz, looking back, you've been with Mid South for a while. What do you wish you knew before coming on board with them?
Oh man, that I was about to get the best job of my life. That it's possible to have a job you don't want to retire from. And I think the master class in scaling a business. I love that your podcast is Humans of Growth. It has been incredible. We were managing 83 houses when I started working for Terry in 2009. I think that was reflective of maybe 20 something investors. And that 5,700, that's us not managing for other people. So I've sold almost every single one of those houses. And, one thing I have said is that I never knew how creative business could be and how fun business could be. I think when I was a kid, I wanted to be like an artist or a poet because I thought that business was so dry, and it's actually so incredibly creative. And the joy of sharpening the axe every day, every year, offering more to the renters, offering more to the investors, is fun. And I didn't know business was fun and creative back when all the adults are asking you, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Where does the creativity come in your job? Tell me a story about it.
Oh my goodness. All right. So when I guess this was probably 15 years ago, I showed my IT buddy two pieces of paper. One was called the rental track, and one was called rehab status. And rehab status tracked all of the houses that we were rehabbing. Back then, it was probably 25 houses. Rental track tracked all the houses that we were finishing up and about to rent. And I was just showing him kind of what we had going on. And he said, "So how do you update that?" I was like, "Oh, I just mark them up every day, and then I give them to Lisa, and then she redoes them for me." And he looked at me like I was a caveman, and he said, if you and a lot of these addresses were the same, and he said, I can whip it up to where if you change something on one of them, it'll change it on the other one. I'm like, really? He said, yes. And so boom, the a whole, we call them the bird sheets, because my buddy Neil, his nickname is the Bird. And so we ended up with 40 bird sheets, right? And so they would send auto emails. So if a house went under contract, it would send an auto email to all the people that had it to do because it was under contract. And then we would take a deposit, and it would send an email to everybody who needed to do something with that, and then it would update other people's bird sheets. So as an example, just the creativity of efficiency is a blast. And so that's what we do around here. We are continually, we have meetings all day, every day, working on sharpening the sword. So it's like Liz said, I had no idea that business could be that creative. When I got into the business, I thought the creativity was going to be, colors and tile and whatnot. Fast forward now, we have an assembly line to where we take an ugly, junky house and it jumps on the assembly line, and then all the same materials jump on that house for the sake of efficiency. And so the creativity doesn't actually come from color palettes, it comes from sharpening the sword.
Okay, I like it. Liz, what would you say? Same question.
Communicating our brand identity and who we are is my corner of the world, and I love it passionately. It's real corny, but we used to have a tag that was like, "We ain't your mama's real estate company," and we've done some fun dorky stuff along the way. Our website is really transparent, and it's really unusual. If you look at other people that do what we do, the website is my baby. I remember the day that I started working for Terry, he was getting new bushes put in front of our office. And except for renters, every customer we had was we do sell locally, but a lot of our folks are coming to Memphis from different markets. And he had this very simple sort of literally one page kind of a website that was just like one little exterior photo. And luckily he creates a culture where I'm comfortable to give ideas and share. And I was kind of like, this is your storefront. Like, yes, the bushes out front are nice, but this is our storefront and it needs new bushes. And adding things like our management agreement and our philosophy towards renters. And he and I worked on that website every day for over a year. Any typos are our own. Every comma is from he and I. I used to carry, at one point, I was carrying colored pencils with me for our meetings, because we would want to sketch out borders and how numbers were presented and clarity, and adding little eyes where you hover over them and it explains where that's coming from. And we had this vision that someone could get on our website at like 6:00 at night and go through it and really spend time and kind of come out of it knowing everything you need to know. And I think we were able to build that through continual improvement.
Absolutely.
So if you were going to add something to your website, would you add anything?
Yes.
What would you add?
I want to always, so we have these really detailed pro formas, which are basically, for those that are out of the game, just kind of complicated projections and formulas based on rents and property. Real estate is unique because you've got property appreciation, you've got rent appreciation, you have taxes, but they go up in time, and you've got insurance, but that goes up in time too. And there's a lot of undefined things, and rents, thank goodness, are also usually going up. And all of these things to capture. And then you have tax benefits often when you buy, and it is just a lot to, ROI does not work great with rental property, in my opinion, because ROI thinks that you're parting with that purchase price and you're parting with that down payment, and it doesn't have a way to reflect that it's actually sitting in your brick bank account, and the cash flow, you've just temporarily stored your purchase price and your down payment elsewhere, and ROI parts with it completely. And so there's so much to teach about that, and I have ideas and expansions for that to help it more accessible. And yeah, that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, that's fun. I started in website design back in 2007, so I appreciate how far it's come.
Nice.
So, Terry, question for you, and getting towards the end of the episode, looking back at your career over the past 10, 15, 20 years running this business, what is the piece of advice that you would give to other CEOs, no matter what industry they were in?
I would say leave enough meat on the bone for everybody involved in the transaction. And using our business as an example, that's every one of our employees. That's the attorneys that we work with. That's the mortgage brokers that supply financing to our investors. That's the renters, our investors, obviously. And just make sure that everybody, once the dust is settled on a deal, if everybody can't say, man, I want to do that deal again, then you need to ask the question why. Because if somebody doesn't want to do the deal again, then the model is broken. And the only way that you can provide above average value to everyone in the deal and still have the deal be profitable is to be efficient. So it's constantly, I would say, just constantly work on efficiency. What works today won't work tomorrow. What worked yesterday is working now. So keep working on efficiency and make sure that everybody wants to do the deal again.
I love it. So last question, I'd like both of you to answer separately. You're retired 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. You don't have a choice. Sorry, Liz. What is the one story from working at Mid-South Home Buyers that you will tell?
I rehabbed a house, and this house had the water heater in the closet downstairs. The furnace was also in a closet downstairs. Like Liz mentioned earlier, this was a house that was totally trashed, but it had a brand new roof on it because I bought it from somebody who had tried to rehab it and failed, and got to the end of the entire deal. And then I went to blue tape the house, do quality control. And there was no pull down attic steps. There was just a scuttle hole, like is typical on some of these older baby boomer houses. And so I pushed up the plywood to the scuttle hole and shined my flashlight up in there, and the whole roof of the house, the joist, the decking, everything was burnt to a crisp. And those shingles had just been halfway just like laid up there, and we had to decapitate the entire house. And when I mean decapitate it, I even mean like the ceiling rafters. So we had to drop the sheetrock ceilings and just basically just start over. And that was early on, and so that hurt a lot. But there are so many horror stories like that when you've done as much business as we have. You screw up a lot, and you just get better along the way. But yeah, that one, I can still smell that attic. It's awful.
Um, I don't have anything nearly as entertaining. Like I said, just kind of getting to be a part of the growth has been amazing. But I think for me, in summation, it would just be how much we never really know what is around the corner and what may or may not be good for us. So I actually had been doing really high-end property management in St. Louis. I was managing about 550 units when I left there. And I moved to Memphis, not planning to stay in Memphis. I was getting married. My husband was down here, and I planned to leave. And so I took the job with Terry as like a $9 an hour leasing agent. It was so far below anything I had been doing, but I was not planning on taking a job that I would ever put on my resume. I just like to stay busy. I wanted something to do for a couple of months while I got us out the door. I did not know I was going into an interview with one of the most smartest and intuitive people I would ever meet. And he looked at my resume and said, "You're going to leave me." And I was like, "Oh, no, oh, no, no, no." And he looked at it again and said, "Maybe I'll figure out a way to keep you." And he did. And I cut to 16 years later. I am so the opposite of not living in Memphis. I own a lot of rental property in Memphis, and am raising my family here. And it's wild to me that had I intended to stay in Memphis, I wouldn't have applied for that job. I wouldn't have met Terry. I wouldn't have gotten to have the last 16 years. And so just the mysteries of life's river as it turns never fails to astound me.
That is a story and a half. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on the show today. If people want to connect with you further, what's the best way for them to find you?
MidSouthHomebuyers.com is our aforementioned baby. All paths there pretty much lead to me. I'm Liz, Liz, and you can see everything there. And we love helping folks. And if somebody is new, I want them to feel safe to like reach out. We have investors that have hundreds of houses and apartment complexes and some hotels, all the things, but I absolutely work with folks that are literally in an apartment in Manhattan, in an apartment in LA, and this is their first real estate purchase in life. They've not even bought as an owner occupant, and they're kind of my darlings and my favorite people to help. So wherever you are in real estate or not at all, please, I'd love to help, including if you're interested in a different market.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. For everyone else tuning in, thank you for coming and joining us on the show today. If you are looking for a marketing agency and you want to skip the grunt work of the search, you can schedule a free strategy session over at perrysonnetwork.com, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Humans of Growth.